Hello, third graders. For math, you know we are starting to look at fractions. And so I kind of wanted to just go right back to the beginning of the whole idea of what is a fraction anyway. And so that is really a piece of a whole. So for this here, we're going to have this one, which is going to represent what a whole looks like here. All right, so if I have this, it's like the whole piece. A lot of times you think about things like candy bars. So you could imagine you have your whole candy bar right here. Well, if you were going to split it and you wanted to have it, two friends wanted to have the exact same size pieces, then they would do in what? In half, right? So that looks like this. We have 1, 2 pieces. But let's take a little bit of a closer look here. We see that a 1/2, it looks like a 1 over the 2 for both of them, right? So of the 2 pieces that I need to equal a whole, which they show here in the denominator, how many pieces of this size I need to make a whole? I would need 2. And right here in my hand, I have 1 of the 2 pieces that would make a whole, or 1/2. So therefore, if I have 2 of the pieces, it will equal a whole. Works the same for this. We can see right now which size piece I'm dealing with. How many pieces of this will I need to make a whole? I can see right here on the denominator, which number is it telling me? I need 3 of them to equal 1 whole. So that's 1/3, looks like that. And you can keep going on with each of the numbers. And if you are looking, so we're thinking about how many pieces. So maybe you don't have the actual sets like this. And if you don't, you can feel free to make them if you want to actually be able to touch and move something around. Just make sure you have it measured and equal, so they're all the same size. But we've also shared with you a nice website, and you have the login for that, and that will let you move it around and put things on top of each other as well too. Okay, so let's say we don't have these actual pieces right here, and I want to try to figure out what I am looking at, how many more pieces of something I might need to make a whole of it. Well, like I said, you can look at here, you have these clues. So maybe if I'm on the paper and I just have something that looks like this, how many pieces of something that is this size, if I have one that is this size, how many of them would make a whole? Remember, I have the chance to look, it shows me right here, it tells me the answer of how many I need to make a whole. 6 of these is going to equal 1 whole. So, right, so this, and I do it to, obviously this is not a good representation because these are not equal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. That's hard to say. It equals 1 whole piece. So if I'm looking at this number right here, how many would I need to have a whole? You have the clue right down here in the denominator telling you how many. And this is how many of the pieces I currently have. So I need to have 8 of these to have a whole. But I only have 1 right now. So I would need to have 7 more pieces in order to have a whole. Let's try something just a slightly bit trickier. So what is the size I'm dealing with here? First, I want to be looking at this number. How many pieces of this is it going to take to make a whole? Well, I would need to be thinking about fifths. I'm thinking about my 1/5. But how many of them do I have here? It says 3. So I'm actually thinking of it like this. Here's 1, 2, 3 of my fifths. I don't have a whole yet, but I'm getting closer to having a whole because I have 1, 2, 3 of my fifths. Continuing on that same line of thought we were just looking at with the 3/5, what if I had something that looks like this? How could I write this? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. Okay, well first I need to think of how many do I need to make a whole? Well, it says right here in the denominator, I'm gonna need 8. All right, but how many do I have of these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right in front of me right now, I have 5/8. When I say this, 5/8, when I'm writing that, what I'm talking about is having this. It's like I actually have that 5/8 pieces in front of me. Okay, so now I've taken away the numbers completely, and all I see here are the pieces. I have these things here, and here's what a whole looks like again. Okay? So what would this piece here be? Let's think about how we would write that. Well, how many does it take to make a whole? 1, 2, 3. I'm worried about this piece, and I know that for a whole, I need to have 1, 2, 3 pieces. And how many was I talking about here? Well, just 1. So that equals 1/3. So let's try another one. I have these pieces without any numbers showing. I still have the whole up here to show what it looks like. But now I want to think about these ones. These two I want to talk about. What am I going to write down here to show that I want to be talking about these pieces here? Well, we need to go back again and look at how many pieces of them are going to make a whole. I counted 5. So for my denominator, I'm going to put down here that it's 5 pieces I'm going to need to equal a whole. But how many am I worrying about right now? Well, I only said this one and this one. I'm not talking about these ones yet. I just want to talk about these two. 1, 2. So for me, I was talking about this 2/5 of this whole right now. So this is the basic idea, and we're going to be going into this more all week. You'll have a little more chance to play around with it and more time to ask your teachers too for more help, and you can ask me as well. All right, I hope that makes sense, and we'll see you guys online.